are watching 32 teams in 32 days on the Game Time Sports Network.
It's a great day, sports world. So now we're stepping into the AFC East, moving right along this thing here. Welcome to 32 teams, 32 days. Amon, how you doing today, brother?
Good sunny Saturday. Got preseason football going on, and we're talking about the defending AFC champs to my delight. So I'm doing well there.
I knew you was going to. You say you was going to bring that up. Yeah, you probably do that numerous times during the show today. But it's a pleasure to have my guy on, my co-host on. 14-3 last year. Went to the Super Bowl. Had what people would say the easiest schedule, the easiest path to a Super Bowl. You know, you get to the playoffs, play a Chargers team that I thought was going to play a little bit better. Only allowed 3 points. Played a C.J. Stroud led team, and he wanted to throw interceptions everywhere and just give them the ball. And then you face a Bo Nix less Denver Broncos team, and the head coach wanted to opt out of kicking field goals. And but anyways, I'm not trying to relive nightmares and everything like that. But my question to you is, can New England prove last year was the start of something and not just a 1 year spike?
To answer that question, let's go back to your first statement first. The easiest path to the Super Bowl. I mean,
I mean, you can only play
I
who's in
wouldn't say.
front of you.
I mean, you only can play who's in front of you. So we all know what Justin Herbert is, as far as what the playoff woes are. The Texans, yeah, you got a bad CJ Stroud, but that defense is still top tier. That was a tough one. And then you play the Broncos, which they didn't have their franchise quarterback, but that defense was still the last two defenses that they played were probably 1 and 2 in the league, depending on who you ask. So I wouldn't say it's the easiest path. Um, but they did have their challenges, especially in the New England game I mean not the New England game, but the Denver game with the inclement weather as the game went on. There were some challenges there, but to answer your question, can they repeat what this is, what last year was? Absolutely, they can, and they've only gotten better, adding some upgrades across the offensive line and the receiver room. And we'll talk about these guys in a very few seconds. I don't think Drake May is going to slow down. I think Mike Vrabel, he's with all the offseason hoopla that he had going on. I think he's the we're gonna leave that over there. We gonna, I think he's the right coach for this team. He's the New England guy. Cut his teeth in the league with New England. He won Super Bowls with Tom Brady and those guys, and I think he's one of the definitions of a New England Patriot. And I think Robert Kraft wouldn't have it any other way with any other coach. We know Gerard Mayo saga didn't go as particularly smooth as we would like to have, but hey, this is a production-based business, and ultimately there's some favors that have to be done. But I think they can get back to where the promised land again in 2026.
Drake May finished second in MVP voting. Just in his second year, and you can see the stats right there. Um, what an improvement and what a difference coach makes, because of course they had Gerard Mayo in his rookie season. You take him out, and now look, Mike Vrabel's in there, and all of a sudden you playing in Super Bowls. Was this the coach that he needed?
I'm not, I'm not gonna say it's the coach he needed, but it's the situation that was granted. If that makes sense, being number two overall pick, come in, you hop behind a wily veteran like Jacoby Brissett, didn't go as planned. You throw him in there during the season, and you just give him game reps, let him continue to get better and learn his job on the fly. Um, it did help that you have was I think Stephon Diggs was there his rookie year. No, he wasn't there his rookie year. Um, so, just getting game reps and learning the position, on the field, because there's nothing better than live ball, live action I think you agree with that. And yeah, man, he was a very, very talented guy coming out of North Carolina. We knew Caleb was going one in 2024, but there was some debate between Jade and Drake for 2 and 3, and it ultimately played out for both franchises as they would like, to as they like. So yeah, man, I think this is the situation was perfect. He had a run game with Ramondre Stevenson. So got a veteran tight end and what's my guy named Hunter Henry. Look at there, boy, you
Right
boy,
on time.
right on time. That helped him move the chains and make things a little easier for him. But then in year two they added Stephon Diggs, and we talked about Stephon Diggs a few episodes ago, what he mean to a young quarterback in the league, and just so happened he elevated Drake May's play, got him to, as you said, second in MVP voting. Now, hey, now you got a big dog coming in now, and we see where he can take this thing in 2026.
Travion Henderson led the team with 911 rushing yards. Ramondre Stevenson was behind him with 603. And then the home run hitter that Travion Henderson can be, and as well both running backs can be used in the pass game. You go to the Stephon Diggs led the team in receiving yards. Hunter Henry was right behind him with 768. And then you also have like those role player guys like Mac Hollins, who makes a difference in the AFC Championship game or in the playoffs. Demario Douglas, Keyshawn Boutte, guys like that. And then is this the missing piece? AJ Brown finished with 1,000 receiving yards in his last 4 seasons and 6 of his 7 NFL seasons, reuniting back with Mike Vrabel, who was in Tennessee, his head coach in Tennessee. Is this the piece that Drake May needs to get over the hump?
I ain't gonna say it's the missing piece, but it's a damn good piece to have on your team, boy. I'm trying to tell you. We all know what he brings to the table. Um, the run that he had in Philly was nothing of outstanding. Yes, it didn't end on the very good notes, but when you play for your team that you grew you grew up rooting for, as AJ Brown said, we seen the picture with him in the Patriots jersey, et cetera, et cetera. And we know what type of attention the defense has to give him on a down in and down out basis. I ain't gonna say it's the missing piece, but it's one hell of a piece to add to your offense. That's not going to be a hindrance from you getting to the ultimate goal is holding that Lombardi Trophy on February, whatever day it is. So
I think this could be the piece that he could need, possession receiver, throw it up, get it. He can run just about any route, but the thing about it, he couldn't command the ball. So while Drake is in this mode now, where yeah, you had Stephon Diggs, but you had a situation where you were spreading the ball out, so to say. You Hunter, Kayshawn, Demario, Kyle Williams, who could be elevated this year. Not so much now because you got AJ Brown taking all the targets this year. But I think in terms of like that dominant receiver, the one that's going to call for that ball, like I wonder, is it going to mess the chemistry up of this team?
no, I don't think it's gonna mess the chemistry up for this team because AJ Brown asked for this. He asked for this, not flat out asking for it, but we knew that a divorce was headed with him and the Eagles. And you don't want to be the guy that comes into a new locker room and be the wet blanket on something they already started last year. Because it's not like they got blown out in the divisional round or blown out in the wild card. They made it to the Super Bowl and ran into a buzzsaw of a defense as the Seattle Seahawks. So you don't want to be that guy to come in and be like, man, he's gonna bring drama. If that's the case, they never would have entertained it. And I think I know AJ Brown understands what what's on the table, not only for him but for this team as well. Because I'm not saying they're loaded at some key positions, but they have some top 3 players at on this team at each position in the league that you probably want to make sure everybody's all in so you can go ahead and win this Lombardi, which they have a chance to do this year. So I don't think he's going to be the problem this year. Now, if we get into it now, 2027, 2028, hey, you got me. But just for this 1 year, I think AJ Brown knows his value to this team, what he can do, and I think the team knows that as well. Robert Kraft and if Vrabel bringing him over. Remember, Vrabel had AJ Brown his rookie season a couple years after that in Tennessee, so he knows and there's familiarity, there's comfortability there. So I don't think he's going to rub anybody the wrong way in this building, because he has the much respect for Vrabel and Drake May, for that matter, to make sure that we continue to elevate this football team into ultimate glory.
Yeah, I want to say he was there. He was there his rookie season. He was there a couple years seasons after that, right?
Yeah, he was there. That year they went to the AFC Championship game, he was there as well. He was there. Right. They had Derrick Henry, Tannehill, AJ Brown. Remember they had to leave versus the Chiefs in the first half and then collapse in the second half. He was there then, so he got some skin on the wall with Mike Vrabel, and I don't think that'll be an issue in 2026.
And then I think he was there the year when they played Baltimore the year right after that.
Yeah.
Is Drake May? Do you think he's one of the faces of the AFC right now, or is it going to take another season? Because you can look at him going to the Super Bowl, leading his team to the Super Bowl, but I think that's more of a
team thing.
Collective as a team. Yes, he did have like over 4,000 yards. He was second in MVP voting, so that's why I would say kind of, and he was there in the game, in the big game. So my answer would be yeah, but to some other person, they would put no, that was more of a team thing, or maybe he's got another year to prove that. But some people may look at like Joe Burrow, who got to a Super Bowl, who got to an AFC Championship game, and is already putting him up here when he hasn't gotten there in quite some time.
I don't want to disrespect Drake May, but is he one of the question is he one of the league's faces in the AFC? He's in that group with some more decorated people. MVP Pat, Super Bowl MVP Pat. You got 2-time MVP Lamar. You got MVP Josh. You got Burrow. He doesn't have any MVPs or anything like that, but he's one of the top guys in the AFC. So, and I put Drake right in that group behind him. I'm actually going to slide, who out. I'm going to put Drake there. I mean, he finished second in MVP in a tough conference, man. Like the AFC, and I know everybody heard me say this millions and millions of times. The NFC might have the better rosters, but the superpowers, the Supermans, the Supermans, the Batmans, they all in the AFC with Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar, Allen, Herbert, you name it. Bo Nix, we gotta talk about him in that light as well, even though he may not have had success in the playoffs as far as getting to the Super Bowl, but he's right there.
Did you see him last night?
Yeah, I seen him last night. Yeah, he looked good last night. And the one series that he did have. I'm excited for him. But yes, back to the I know he had to get his shine on. I ain't mad at him, but he's right there with in that bucket, man. But yeah, not the face of the AFC, but if you had big young guns under the age of 25, he'd definitely be numero uno, in my opinion.
This offensive line, and I know that Caleb Loma was on there. He was drafted this year, so I'm pretty sure at some point this season or in the future, you'll be seeing his name on the starting offensive line as well. Will Campbell gave up 8.5 sacks, and what a playoffs. You want to talk about the playoffs? He didn't have a real good playoffs there. Elijah Vera-Tucker didn't play any games in 2025 due to injury. Jared Wilson 8.5 sacks at left guard. Mike Onwenu 3 sacks, and Morgan Moses 4 sacks. So my question to you is, can New England protect May well enough to make this offense elite?
Can they protect him well enough? Yes. The the offensive line last year was a patchwork offensive line. And they took Will Kimmel fourth overall. I think he had a pretty controversial, not controversial, but a up and down season. We come to learn later on that he was dealing with injuries, so that might have had a couple of issues with his play. But I think them doing the right thing, drafting Caleb Lomu to sit behind Morgan Moses, which he's going to be an eventual starter. They're getting younger. AVT, he's been dealing with injuries most of his career. So hopefully he can be healthy this year. So I think they'll do enough to keep him um, upright. But Drake May is uber athletic as well. That's the reason why he went number 2 overall for his athleticism to get out of danger and get out the pocket if needs to be to get a few yards and get down. I will say he's very good at protecting himself, unlike his counterparts that went before him and after him. They normally put themselves in harm's way a little more than they should. So that's one advantage that I think Drake makes good at is protecting himself. So I think they'll do enough to keep him upright. And if he has to, he can move around, move the chains with his feet every so often, and make a throw on a run. So yeah, I think this is adequate enough. Of course, they're not done building the offensive line out. Of course, you want to get the best player available for this team going forward because he is a lottery ticket. I know we're not going to talk about upcoming contracts, but he's due for one. And I think me and you talked off camera yesterday that he will. I think he'll be in that $65 million a year range, just as my personal opinion. Whether they do it at the beginning of all season or they wait, so you got to protect the money, man. So
48 sacks taken last year. So that was 23rd. So that was one amongst the league leading in sacks taken. And you were right, uber active ever since he was at North Carolina. And I remember going to UVA and seeing him. I've been seeing him, but having the opportunity to go to UVA and seeing him in person, and like, yeah, this guy's gonna be a real deal. Going to key additions and key departures. Of course, we got AJ Brown. Romeo Dobbs is another one who had 700 plus yards last year in Green Bay. Draymond Jones comes over. Kevin Byard, who led the league in interceptions, I want to say. He was all pro.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was an all pro. You see the names right there. Key additions, key departures. Stephon Diggs. You got Austin Hooper. You got Antonio Gibson. Jalen Hawkins, who I feel like is going to be one of those ones that could, hurt him the most, but not really. Casiris Tunga, guys like that. So of course, I always ask, what departure is going to help? Is going to hurt this team the most? What addition is going to help this team the most? I already feel like what addition you already going to lean to.
Yeah, the addition's got to be AJ and Romeo. That's right there. That's a 1-2 on any wide receiver core in any room in the league. So I think those would be huge additions for this team. And then departures, I'm gonna go. I like Jalen Hawkins. I like that call out. He's with the Baltimore Ravens now. And I like Caleb Von Chason as well. Some pass rush depth that they've really really relied on last year to get to the quarterback. So I like those additions and those departures. I think they're going to be key for this team. And they really hit it out the park with AJ Brown, Romeo, and Kevin Byard coming on. And you know a little more about Draymond Jones as well. So yeah, man, that's what I think about the departures and in addition. So this will be interesting.
Yeah, he went to Seattle. I'm not sure. Was he a part of that team last year that won the Super
I
Bowl?
couldn't remember. If it was, he was a blur because all of them was going
No,
crazy.
he was in Tennessee. So
Yeah, he got traded, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Well, either way, I think it was an off-season signing.
It may
But
have been. I don't remember. So much be going on a daily basis, bro.
yeah, but then you go draft picks. And then with Draymond Jones, I mean, he could be a key addition there if he can stay healthy. So, key additions there. Key additions. Draft picks here. Kayla Lomu in the first round. Gabe Yakis out of Illinois in the second round, third round. I want to say Eli Raritan, tight end out of Notre Dame. You see the draft picks right there. So, which draft pick do you think is going to help this team out the most?
I think the Gabe Yakas pick out of Illinois in the second round. I think he was very, very high on people's boards coming out of this draft cycle. I know he was a late signing at camp, some with the contract language, something wasn't right. I think he was the last pick of this year's draft to be signed. So he needs to come in and give them some pass rush help outside of Barmore, Milton Williams, and what's my guy? I don't think he's there no more. What's his name?
Harold Landry.
Yes, he
Yeah,
might not be there no more.
he's still there.
There you go, Harold Landry. So I think Gabe Yack is going to come in and I think he's going to be one key guy that we have to look forward to this season and see what he can do as a rookie to help this defense.
Yeah, Harold Landry. What was he at? He actually led the team with 8.5 sacks.
That ain't good.
No,
That ain't good.
as a whole, just 35 sacks. That was amongst one of the league's worst right there too. 35 sacks. They were 10th in quarterback pressure, so they could get to the quarterback, just not getting the sacks. Run defense, they were 10th, averaged to six fewest yards per game, fourth fewest points allowed. So what a good defense. Christian Gonzalez should be getting his name called as far as an extension here in the next coming days or months and whatnot. Can this defense be the what they were last year as far as being a key piece in helping this team get to a Super Bowl, or does it take a step back?
You may see a step back, just a tiny hair of a step back. Gonzo's going to be Gonzo. But in the totality of things, it may be a better defense in all, because I think they're going to put up more points than what they put up last year. I think they're going to be explosive with AJ Brown, Romeo, Travion, Ramondre, Hunter Henry, Mac. I think Mac Collins still there. Kyle Williams, second year guy out of Washington State. I think you're going to see. I'm not saying you're going to see the light show like Mahomes had in 2019, but I think they're going to put up some points to where the defensive numbers as a whole might not be there because the offense is carrying majority of the load, but they're still going to be a solid unit in my opinion. And it's going to, it's going to be up to Milton Williams, Christian Barmore, Gabe Yakis, Harold Landry, Kevin Barrett coming over will be an additional piece. I think it's going to be a solid unit, man. Maybe a top half of the league unit, in my opinion. So I'm excited for him.
Yeah, remember those defenses back in the day with New England, where you had, they weren't necessarily a shutdown defense, but you can pass on them, you can get your yards on them and stuff like that. But they always make that right play at the right time, timely turnover type of plays, type of defense. So I feel like they can be that type of defense there.
Yeah, with like back in the day when they had Rodney Harrison,
Ty Law,
Richard Seymour,
Lawyer
Willie
Malloy.
McGinnis, that old throwback. Then you got younger women had the Darrell Reeves for that year, and yeah, man, it can get they can get like that if they really want to. They can go in the throwback machine and lock it down, but I think it's gonna be more of an offensive team. You want a balanced football team, of course, but I think what you gave up for AJ Brown, a 2028 first round pick, you went on to sign Romeo Dobbs in free agency, man. I think you're gonna see them
screwing the Raiders out of the AFC Championship game, with the Tuck rule. I gotta get one in at least.
And that's fine, and that's fine though, man. But hey, that's how it is. Take the Jazz, man. Ain't nothing I can do. That happened 23 years ago. Ain't nothing I can. Well, maybe a little longer than that now. I was crying on the floor at the house, man. Ain't nothing I can do about it, man. But hey, long as Drake may keep Bo Nix out of the conference finals, I'm cool. Like, we ain't never seen nobody team get gassed up all off season and then go out here and lose 33-13 in the preseason. It don't matter. Preseason don't matter for big dogs. It don't.
It's all about learning, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Going to the schedule, they start out week 1 in a couple weeks. Wednesday night at Seattle, and then you take on the Steelers. You got the Jaguars. You got the Bills. You face the Raiders in Week 5. You got the Jets. Bears.
You had to say it like that, boy.
Bears on a Thursday night. You face the Dolphins, the Packers, and the Lions. You get the bye week. And listen to this. Chargers on the Sunday night, Bills, Vikings on the Thursday night, Chiefs on the Monday night, and you finish with the Jets at the Jets, Broncos, and the Dolphins to finish up in Week 17. Got a big circle around there because we go to Foxborough and we don't necessarily play well in Foxborough. So, what's the toughest stretch on the schedule here?
Toughest stretch.
I'm going to Week 12. At Week 12.
I'm going to go Week 9, 10, 12, and 13. Because those are all teams we expect to be in the playoffs this year. Packers, Lions, Chargers, Bills. That's a tough stretch right there. They got, 2 at home, 2 away. I really don't make too much out of the first half. The Seahawks, Steelers, Jaguars, they're all beatable teams. Raiders, Jets, yes, Bears. All beatable teams. And I'm looking at.
So you saying that they can go up to Seattle and they can beat Seattle? That's what you're saying.
Yes, absolutely. You disagree?
I'm half and half, but I only because with that environment up there, Super Bowl, the night where they get the banner raised and all that. It's not like we haven't seen teams that played at home right at that opening game right after you get your rings or get the banner raised. Not saying that they can't lose because we've seen it done with Detroit.
I think it happened with the Broncos too. After Super Bowl 50, they got embarrassed. No, they won.
No, we beat Carolina. We beat Carolina.
Okay, it might not have been them. It was somebody. Yeah, it was Kansas City. No. It was. I remember Houston beating somebody. Right, it was the Chiefs, I believe. Right after that Super Bowl was up, they had like a Monday night game. I think it was Kansas City, I believe.
I want to say, but I know Kansas City did lose to Detroit on the opening night. Back in 2014, when the Ravens won the Super Bowl,
they got embarrassed.
Yeah.
That
year, and that was the year that they had to go to Denver because Baltimore Orioles was in the playoffs at the time.
Yeah,
they had that big dispute there. So we've seen it done. I think in more recent years, we're seeing it done more often. So this could be a game where they go up and they can get that, but it also could be a game where they go up and get embarrassed again. Forgetting who's on the other side with Devin Witherspoon going against AJ. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, hey.
Tomato. We can put the schedule back up there one more time for me, brother.
There you go.
And I'm looking. So I know I said 9 through 12. I'm looking at week 16 and week 16 and week 17, week 18 too. I don't know if my expectation is the division is either sold up by then. Josh Allen might say, I might got something to say about this, in the long run, but the division sold up week 17 versus the Broncos. The Broncos might not be playing for anything. They might be out the playoffs by then. I don't know. And then week 18, the Dolphins, you could be resting players going into the postseason. So I look forward, them to either try to win a division between week 16 and week 18. If there's like a close tie with the Bills or, that Broncos game, that could be a huge game to maybe get it seeding in the AFC. If to say the Broncos are like the 3 seed and the New England is the 2 seed, 1 seed, whoever win that game will have a leg up on them getting the number 1 seed overall. But, hopefully for me, the Broncos are out that playoff picture. They're like 3-14 by that time or whatever the record is. So I don't know, man. I look at that last week, 16, 17, 18 could be in all seriousness, a seeding week for those 2 teams right there.
Wow, just throwing the hate right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
3-14. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? As we close out, Um, the schedule gets. I think the schedule is a little bit tougher than it was last year. Of course, you still got some spots on there where when you playing the Raiders, you playing the Jets, you playing the Dolphins. But this is a much tougher schedule than what it is last year. Uh, so does this make the road tougher for them?
Mm, I don't think it's tougher. It's some good teams on his page that didn't make the playoffs, like the Lions. I think you're gonna see a better Vikings team as well. Packers are gonna be tough. The Broncos is gonna be tough. So yeah, man, I see some tougher opponents, man, of course, but I don't see any team maybe outside of the Chiefs, Bills, Broncos. Of course, us Captain Obvious, duh. They can stop them from getting to a Super Bowl.
Uh,
But and Houston's my Super Bowl pick. But in the regular season, I just think New England overall is a better football team than the Texans right now.
okay. Was the Super Bowl run the beginning of a window, or was it their peak?
As long as you got Drake May right there, it's the beginning of a window. Like once you got that guy, your window's open until now. It's until money and business start kicking in because, like we seen with Mahomes, once he signed that contract, you got to start letting players go. Tyreek leave. Um, who else? Kareem Hunt. He came back for a stint. He left. You lose Sammy Watkins. You lose guys. You lose key pieces on that football team. Joe Tooney, he had to go get traded to Chicago. So you have to start shaving off salary. So I guess, once the extensions and stuff kick in, because they have two big ones on the horizon that needs to get taken care of. One hopefully this season and one next year. You'll start seeing that window take a, not saying it's gonna take a hit, but you'll see the money get allocated and be very carefully spent. That could also kind of prohibit you from doing what you want to do because we all know Gonzo's gonna get 35. We know Drake's gonna get 60, 65.
Yeah,
That's what, how much percentage of your cap? Maybe 10 to 20%, maybe. That's a
yeah.
that's a chunk. So yeah, so it can be some restructures and some releases going on that you're gonna be shocked by. But that's why I say, if you draft well, they need Lomo to hit, they need Yakis to hit, they need all these draft picks to hit. We know all of them won't hit though, but you need at least two or three from each season, each draft to hit, so that can stabilize his football team and put good players on the field at a low cost.
And New England didn't really do like the hot commodity free agent. I think they did like the Randy Moss thing, which I would compare to the AJ Brown. So you two high end receivers. You know what I'm saying? It may not be compared. Not trying to compare it, but it's in terms of
Sure, I
like
know
how
what you mean. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Well,
But in terms of that, like they didn't used to make a lot of big moves in the offseason up until recent
yeah, but
years.
that was a Belichick thing though. He was a GM, and so he wanted to try to like bargain basement shop and try to make something out of nothing, which he did for a while. You had Deion Branch as your wide receiver,
Oh, it was
David Givens. You had David Givens, but you had number 12 back there. So he covered. That's makeup. That's like putting lipstick on a pig and still a pig at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
that's the ultimate makeup right there. But I don't think they have that luxury no more. These guys are new players in this league. They're about their money. They're about their brand. So I don't think you can come to the table and say, "Hey, I need you to take, come take 20 playing for the Patriots now. Give me 20% off or something." And yeah, that used to work back in the mid and early 2000s. Yeah, that was great. You can do that then. But these guys now, they about their money. They're more business. They're just as much as businessmen as football players. And you want me to leave $20 million on the table. I'm not leaving it. So that was the old Patriots. This is the new way. Kraft is still the honcho. So Belichick's gone. So these players, you got to pay for players. You got to pay, to get these good players and on your roster and come to your organization because they're just not going to come there for pennies on the dollar.
Definitely up the east.
And it's cold, 20 degrees every day of the week. Man, you got to pay me to come up there.
Yeah.
I look at the weather come January, December, and it's at -3. Oh, I need money just for that.
Nah. Any final thoughts you have on the Patriots before we get up out of here?
No, I just think the Patriots are prime and poised for another deep run in the playoffs. I think, like I say, if considering health, the big boost of AJ Brown, this Gonzo thing lingering over them, I don't think it's going to be a distraction going into the season. Romeo Dobbs coming up is going to be huge. Yeah, man, and it's only 4 teams in the AFC that I think that can represent the AFC, and that's Houston, of course, in my opinion. You got Kansas City; they're always in it. You got New England, and then you got what's my other team? Denver. You got Denver. I won't even try and disrespect them. I just that those are the 4 teams right there that I think that could be represent the AFC. I think it's going to be one of them 4. Anything else, I'd be kind of surprised. But Denver's their biggest challenge, you want to say, because we know what they can be. We know what they do on defense. As of last night, they had their preseason game and they were sharp on. They were sharp. No, I'm talking about the first unit now. They were sharp. They were sharp. Yeah, they look like they're primed and poised and ready to go. With Jalen Waddle coming over, Cortland Sutton, Pat Bryant, Surtain, Jade, Justin Strenard, Zach Allen being a force, Benito. They're ready to roll.
Zach Allen, guard.
Yeah, you can't do nothing about it. I don't know how Arizona let him slip out the building, but hey, some franchises do stupid stuff all the time. Trust me, I know. But they're ready to roll, man, and I see them being their biggest threat to the Super Bowl. Them in Houston. I think those 2 defenses. If you can give me 17 points, bro, defense can do the rest. Defense can do the rest, though. But I hope they hope the Broncos make me liars. I hope they don't. I hope they finish 4th in the West. And yeah, man. But I ain't got nothing else after that, man. I'm done trolling for the day.
Well, we could be doing more trolling tomorrow because we got Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, franchise that went to 4 straight Super Bowls, didn't come up with not one of them. Josh Allen, his playoff struggles, he performs well in the playoffs, but his defense doesn't show up. And, then we had this past season. So we're going to have some fun with them tomorrow. And, it's been fun with New England. Tune in tomorrow. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.